You see, life has a way of teaching people lessons. Some lessons come soft like a whisper. Others, they come like a storm. And when a man takes you for granted, when he thinks you'll always be there, that's a lesson he won't understand until you leave. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you can use when walking away from someone who took you for granted. It speaks in ways that words never could. When a relationship ends, emotions run high. There's a temptation to explain, to argue, to get closure. But the truth is, closure doesn't come from another person, it comes from within. And the moment you realize that, you take back control. Most people expect a reaction. They expect anger, tears, long paragraphs, late night calls. They expect you to fight for them, to plead, to demand answers, because that tells them they still have a hold on you. It reassures them that even though the relationship is over, they still matter in your life. But when you remove that reaction, when you choose silence instead, it unsettles them. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts, their own guilt, their own loss. A man who believes you'll always be there doesn't fear losing you. He moves carelessly because he thinks your love is unconditional. He assumes that no matter what he does, you will argue, cry, maybe threaten to leave, but still stay. And as long as you're engaging, as long as you're trying to make him understand, he feels no real loss. But the moment you step back, the moment you stop explaining and simply let your absence do the talking, that's when the reality of what he lost starts to sink in. Silence creates a void, and in that void, he has nothing to distract him from the truth. No arguments to fuel his ego, no emotional reactions to convince him that you still care. Just space. And in that space, he starts to wonder. He starts to reflect. He starts to feel the weight of what he let go. People don't realize the value of something when it's constantly available to them. But the moment it's gone, the moment they can no longer access it, they start to see its worth. That's human nature. The mind fixates on what it can't have. And nothing is more unsettling than knowing someone who once loved you deeply now feels nothing at all. Silence also protects your dignity. It allows you to walk away with grace without losing yourself in the chaos of emotions. It keeps you in control of your own story. When you refuse to engage in drama, when you choose peace over proving a point, you show strength. And that strength is what makes him realize he underestimated you. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about manipulation. This is about knowing your worth. About understanding that you don't need to explain your value to someone who couldn't see it. About stepping back and allowing time to reveal the lesson that words never could. When you go silent, you remove his safety net. He can no longer rely on your presence, your forgiveness, your willingness to fix what he broke. He is left to deal with the consequences of his actions on his own. And that's a lesson only solitude can teach. In the beginning, he may not feel it. He may assume you'll reach out eventually, that you just need time to cool off. But as days turn into weeks, as your silence remains unbroken, he will start to realize the truth, you're really gone. And that's when it will hit him. Hard out when a relationship ends. The worst thing you can do is let it break you. Pain is natural, but suffering is a choice. And while he may expect you to crumble, to drown in heartbreak, to lose yourself in the loss, the most powerful thing you can do is rise. Rise in a way that makes him question everything. Rise in a way that reminds him exactly who he took for granted. The glow up is not just about looking better, it's about becoming better. It's about leveling up mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. It's about becoming a version of yourself that he was never ready for. Because nothing makes a man feel a breakup harder than watching the woman he lost transform into someone he can no longer reach. He expects sadness. He expects you to sit in the dark replaying memories, waiting for a text, hoping for an apology. He expects you to stay stuck in the past. But when he sees you moving forward, when he sees that you're not just surviving but thriving, that's when the regret kicks in. That's when he starts to feel the weight of his choices. A woman who glows up after a breakup is a woman who understands that pain is fuel. Instead of letting heartbreak define her, she lets it refine her. She uses that energy to invest in herself, to chase her goals, to become the person she was always meant to be. And that kind of transformation is undeniable. It's magnetic. It's unforgettable. You start hitting the gym not for revenge, but because your health, your body, your confidence deserve it. You start dressing differently, not for attention, but because you finally see yourself the way you were always meant to be seen. You start focusing on your dreams, not as a distraction, but because you refuse to let anyone or anything hold you back anymore. You start surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, who remind you of your worth, who pour into you the way you once poured into him. And the more you grow, the more he feels it, because now he's watching from the outside. He's no longer the one you run to when you're excited about something. He's no longer the first person you share your wins with. He's no longer part of the future you're building. And that realization will shake him. The glow up is proof that he wasn't the center of your world, that losing him didn't break you, it built you. And nothing is more humbling than realizing that the person you thought needed you never did. That the woman who once loved you with everything she had is now happier without you. That while he may have been your past, he has no place in your future. This isn't about proving a point to him. It's not about making him jealous. It's not about revenge. It's about stepping into your power. It's about taking all that love, all that energy, and redirecting it to yourself. Because when you do that, you don't just heal, you evolve. You become untouchable. You become unforgettable. And that is something he will never recover from. Closure is one of the biggest illusions after a breakup. People chase it, beg for it, believe they need it to move on. But the truth is, closure isn't something you get from another person, it's something you give yourself. And the moment you understand that, you take back your power. Because nothing weakens you more than waiting for someone else to give you peace. He expects you to reach out. He expects you to ask why. He expects you to demand explanations, to try to make sense of everything. That gives him control. That keeps him in a position of power, knowing that you're still looking for answers only can give. But the second you stop searching, the second you decide that you don't need his words to move forward, that's when the power shifts. Most people think closure comes in a conversation. That if they just hear the right words, if they just the apology, the regret, the acknowledgement, then they can finally move on. But what happens when that conversation never comes? What happens when the answers don't make sense? Or worse, when they leave you with more questions? That's why real closure isn't about what he says, it's about what you decide. When you stop seeking explanations, when you accept that some things won't ever make sense, you free yourself. You free yourself from the cycle of overthinking, of analyzing every detail, of wondering if you could have changed the outcome. You stop giving them space in your mind, in your emotions, in your future. And that freedom, that's what truly breaks it. Because he expects to still have access to you. Maybe not physically, but emotionally. He expects you to carry that pain, to hold on to the past, to keep him relevant in your thoughts. But when he realizes you've let it go, not because he made things right, but because you chose yourself, that's when it hits him. That's when he starts to feel the absence, the weight of what he lost. Confidence is understanding that you don't need an explanation of your worth. Confidence is knowing that no matter what happened, you are still valuable, still deserving, still capable of love. Confidence is walking away without looking back, not because you have all the answers, but because you no longer need them. A man feels the loss when he sees you standing firm, when he sees that his words no longer have power over you. When he realizes that you're not waiting, that you're not hoping, that you're not stuck in the past, because that means he didn't just lose you, he lost the version of you that once cared enough to need him. And nothing is more painful than knowing that someone you once mattered to now sees you as just another lesson. Indifference is the one thing a man can't handle after a breakup. Anger, he understands. Tears, he expects. Begging, he counts on. But indifference, that shakes him. Because when you don't care anymore, when you no longer react, that's when he realizes he's truly lost you. He expects a reaction. He expects you to lash out, to send long messages, to ask for explanations. Because that tells him he still has a place in your mind, in your emotions, in your heart. That tells him that he still matters. And as long as he can get a response from you, whether it's love or hate, he still feels in control. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop engaging, that's when the power shifts. A man will test you after a breakup. He'll check to see if you're still watching his stories. He'll post things to get a rise out of you. He might even reach out just to see if he still has access to you. Because as long as you react, he knows he's still affecting you. But when he gets nothing, no anger, no tears, no reaction at all, that's when he starts to feel the breakup in a way he never expected. Indifference is not about pretending. It's not about ignoring him while secretly hoping he comes back. It's about truly detaching. It's about reaching a place where his actions, his words, his existence no longer influence your emotions. And that kind of peace is something he won't be able to ignore. The truth is, most men don't process a breakup immediately. At first, they feel free. They assume you'll always be around, that they can come back whenever they want. But when they realize that the door is closed, not because you're angry, but because you've moved on, that's when reality sets in. That's when the loss becomes real. A woman's silence speaks louder than any words ever could. When you stop checking in, when you stop responding, when you stop giving him the attention he once took for granted, it forces him to sit with his own thoughts. He starts to wonder why you're not reacting. He starts to question if you ever really needed him at all. And that realization will stay with him longer than any argument ever could. The moment you become indifferent, he loses the ability to manipulate your emotions. He loses the power to pull you back into his world whenever he feels like it. And that's when he starts to feel the weight of what he let go. Because now he's not just dealing with a breakup, he's dealing with the reality that you've outgrown him. This is why emotional control is everything. When you refuse to give energy to someone who no longer deserves it, you take back your power. You show that your happiness was never dependent on him. And when a man realizes that he wasn't as necessary to your life as he thought he was, that's when he feels the breakup 10 times harder. The best response to a breakup is not tears, not anger, not revenge, it's success. It's living a life so full, so rich, so beautiful that the past becomes irrelevant. Because nothing haunts a man more than knowing the woman he let go is not just happy, but thriving without him. He expects you to struggle. He expects you to miss him so much that you can't function, that you can't stuck in the past. Because as long as you're hurting, as long as you're not moving forward, he can convince himself that he still had an impact, that he still holds some kind of power over you. But when he sees you living your best life, when he sees that his absence has stopped your growth, that's when the regret starts to creep in. A woman who turns her pain into power is a woman who becomes unstoppable. She doesn't waste time looking back. She doesn't sit around hoping for closure. She pours all of that energy into herself, into her health, her career, her passions, her happiness. And that kind of transformation is undeniable. It's visible. It's magnetic. Your glow up isn't just about appearances, though that's part of it. It's about becoming the best version of yourself in every way. It's about waking up with purpose, setting goals, chasing dreams that were once on hold. It's about surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, who uplift you, who remind you of your worth. Because when you build a life that excites you, you don't have time to dwell on what you lost. And the more you grow, the more he feels it. Because he starts to realize that he wasn't as essential to your happiness as he thought he was. He starts to see that the woman he took for granted is now someone he can't reach. That the person who once gave him all her love has now redirected that love into herself. Nothing stings more than seeing someone you underestimated become everything you never expected. Nothing humbles a man more than realizing that the breakup didn't break you, it built you. And while he's stuck in the past, replaying what he lost, you're out there creating a future that no longer includes him. This isn't about proving a point to him. It's not about making him jealous or making him regret. It's about stepping into your power. It's about using every ounce of pain, every bit of disappointment, and turning it into motivation. Because the greatest revenge isn't getting back at him, it's never looking back at all. Time is the greatest teacher, and it always reveals the truth. In the immediate aftermath of a breakup, a man might not feel the weight of his decisions. He might think he made the right choice. He might believe he can move on easily. But time has a way of exposing mistakes. And when he realizes what he lost, it will hit him 10 times harder than it ever hit you. At first, he will enjoy his freedom. He will convince himself that he made the right move, that life is better without the relationship. He may go out more, surround himself with distractions, and act as he's unaffected. But distractions are temporary. They don't heal. They don't replace what was real. And once the noise fades, once he is left alone with his thoughts, that's when the regret starts creeping in. Time forces him to reflect, and as weeks turn into months, he will begin to see things clearly. The things he took for granted will start to stand out. The way you supported him, the way you loved him unconditionally, the way you were always there, that doesn't just disappear. A man doesn't forget a woman who truly loved him. He may ignore it for a while, but eventually it will catch up to him. Memories don't fade as quickly as people think. He will start remembering the little things, the way you laughed at his jokes, the way you cared for him, the way you made life easier. And the worst part, he won't be able to find that again, at least not in the way you gave it. Because real love, real connection is rare. And once he realizes that, once he understands that what you gave him wasn't ordinary, the regret will be undeniable. People always believe they have time. They believe they can move on without consequences. But time doesn't work like that. It doesn't erase mistakes, it exposes them. And the biggest mistake he made was thinking he could replace you. Because while he was out there trying to fill the void, you were out there growing, evolving, becoming a version of yourself that he no longer has access to. And when he finally looks back, when he finally understands what he lost, he will wish he had appreciated you more. He will wish he had done things differently. But by then, it will be too late. Because time didn't just teach him a lesson, it gave you the strength to move forward without him. When you level up, when you evolve into the best version of yourself, there is no reason to look back. The past has nothing left to offer you. A man who let you go, a man who didn't recognize your worth when he had you, will one day realize his mistake. And when he does, he may try to come back. He may test the waters, hoping there's still a chance. But that door must remain closed. Giving a second chance to someone who took you for granted is like rereading a book, expecting a different ending. People show you who they are the first time. Their actions, their choices, their treatment of you, those were not accidents. They were decisions. And the moment you allow someone back into your life who once made you feel like you weren't enough, you send a message that they can do it again. And man will only value what he has to earn. If he lost you and thinks he can come back anytime, he will never truly respect you. But when he realizes that you are no longer an option, when he understands that he can't just walk back into your life when it's convenient for him, that's when the regret truly sets in. Because now, he's not just dealing with loss, he's dealing with the finality of it. No second chances mean you refuse to lower your standards for someone who once failed to meet them. It means you understand your worth and you refuse to settle for less than what you deserve. It means that even though you once loved him, even though you once saw a future with him, you now love yourself more. He may come back with apologies. He may come back saying all the right things. He may finally give you the closure you once wanted, but it won't change the fact that he already showed you what life with him looks like. And now you have a choice to return to something that once broke you or to move forward into something better. The most powerful thing you can do is to let the past stay in the past. The moment you choose yourself over him, the moment you refuse to give him a second chance, you prove that you were never the one who lost, you were the one who got away. Your absence will teach him more than your presence ever could. When you were there, he didn't see your worth. He thought you would always be around. He got comfortable thinking that no matter what he did, no matter how he treated you, you would stay. But when you walk away and truly remove yourself from his life, that's when the lesson begins. People don't appreciate what's always available to them. They take it for granted, assuming it will never leave. But when it's gone, when they can no longer reach it, they start to realize what they had. And the absence of a good woman is something that cannot be ignored. At first, he may not feel it. He may believe he made the right decision. He may think he can replace you, that he can find someone else who will love him the way you did. But what he doesn't realize is that genuine love, real loyalty, and deep connection are not things that come around every day. They are rare. And once they are lost, they are almost impossible to find again. The silence you leave behind will speak louder than any words ever could. No messages, no calls, no checking in, just distance. And in that distance, he will begin to notice the void. The things he once overlooked will start to stand out. The way you cared for him, the way you supported him, the way you loved him unconditionally. Those moments will replay in his mind, and the weight of your absence will start to settle in. He may try to fill the gap with distractions. He may surround himself with people, try to move on quickly, act as if he doesn't care. But distractions don't replace real love. They only delay the realization of what was lost. And eventually, when the noise fades, he will be left with nothing but the truth he let go of something he should have held on to. The absence of someone who truly loved you is different. It lingers. It stays in the back of the mind, reminding you of what once was. And the moment he sees that you're not coming back, that your silence is permanent, that's when the pain sets in. Because now, it's not just a breakup. It's a reality he can't change. Your absence will teach him what your presence never could, that you were never the one who needed him. He was the one who needed you. And now he has to live with the consequences of taking you for granted. The greatest power you have after a breakup is not in your words, not in your anger, not in trying to make him understand what he lost. It's in your silence, your growth, in your ability to move forward without looking back. When you stop chasing closure, when you refuse to react, when you invest in yourself and live your best life, that's when the lesson begins. Because a man doesn't feel a breakup when you cry, when you beg, when you wait, he feels it when he realizes he no longer has access to you. He will feel it when he sees you glowing, when he hears your laughter in rooms he no longer belongs in, when he realizes that the woman who once loved him with everything has now given that love to herself. He will feel it 10 times harder when he understands that no second chances are coming, that his time with you was not a revolving door, but a one-way exit. And he will feel it the most when he finally learns the lesson he never expected. Your absence is far more powerful than your presence ever was. So walk away with grace, walk away with strength, and let time do what words never could. Because the best revenge, the deepest lesson, the thing that will haunt him the most is knowing that you never needed him to be great. You were always destined to shine with or without him.